The Buschy and Bobo Show, a healthy scratch podcast. Here's your hosts, Kyle Busch and Brian Rager.
All right, welcome back. Episode 25.
It's a milestone. 25 episodes in, that's a quarter century, and it is our favorite time of the year.
You're going to find an excuse to have a like an anniversary every single episode. Like episode 26, you'd be like, well,
it's the Paul Stastny.
double 13 and 13's lucky or something.
No.
Anyway, okay, so yeah, trade deadline. So when you guys see this, it'll be past the trade deadline. I got a lot of editing to do, basically. So hopefully, tonight, tomorrow, this will be up. But we are technically, it's what, 10 in the morning?
It is 9:30.
It's 9:30 in the morning on Monday, the NHL trade deadline. And so we are actually going to react to the trades as they come in, break them down for you.
They have got an error already on TSN.
Yeah, I know. TSN is, listen, guys. Last year's setup was pretty, it was in the basement. It took forever to set up. This took a lot as well. It doesn't look like much, but holy stuff.
The Buschy and Bobo studio.
Yeah. We have TSN and we're going to have Sportsnet.
Once they're on at 10.
But the internet is hilarious out here. So we got some kinks to work out, but I think things are going to work out just fine.
You wait till next year's.
Oh, yeah. Just wait till next year. Tune in next year. Put it on your calendar another year from now. Okay. Here's the deal. We're going to go through. There's a bunch of trades always happen, a
couple days beforehand, a week before.
Always.
Yeah.
And every time I text Bobo and I'm like, man, the trade deadline is going to be so boring. Nothing's going to happen. Something always happens. There's always trades to break down.
It's going to be the Zdeno Chara sweepstakes today.
They were just going through like 17 trades last year. I mean, we'll break them down, even if they're small. Who cares? There were a lot of small trades too. There's a bunch of big ones as well.
A couple big ones there, but a lot of small ones leading up to today so far.
And if you haven't checked out our last episode, it was a trade deadline primer. So, go check that out. We do have the Buschy and Bobo list, healthy scratch list of our top about 30 something players available. That list, technically, we could have changed a week or two because there was a lot of things that did change. A lot of players where I kind of looked at and went, they could probably move too. But hey, we made our own list and that's what we're going to stick to. But we will obviously look up any other players that aren't on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's start off with some of the trades that happened in the last few days, let's say 2 or 3 days. And we're going to start with just the first team. And we broke down the Panthers a couple episodes ago. How they're just an awesome team. And they got a lot better. They made 3 separate trades. I'm going to start with the first one. So the biggest one, he was number 2 on our list, was Claude Giroux from the Philadelphia Flyers, the captain. He got traded to the Florida Panthers with a 5th-round pick from 2025, Connor Bunnaman, German Rubtsov. They all went to the Panthers, and Philadelphia in return got Owen Tippett, who I think was number 33 on our list.
He was on my list.
Yeah, 33. And a 2024 first-round pick, a 2023 third-round pick. So that was the trade going back and forth. Bobo, what do you think about the Panthers picking up Claude Giroux?
The Panthers, they got the fact that it's a 2025 fifth as well with it, but Giroux on that line, I have their daily face-off up right now. And you looked at that, Giroux, Barkov, and Verhaeghe there,
and then Huberdeau, Bennett, Duclair.
Yeah.
They got their top 6
top
is
6
insane.
is insane.
And their bottom 6 looks pretty nice too. So
yeah.
I think Giroux is a natural fit there. Now, I know we were kind of thinking Colorado. That was the natural spot where I thought for a long time he would maybe end up there.
And I thought that too, just because I didn't see Philly trading him in the East.
Yeah, that was another thing. You don't want to, but I mean, I don't think he's going to be re-signing with the Panthers. Let's put it that way. I think he'll go elsewhere. I think it would be tough for them to re-sign him. But
now the return going the other way, I don't think it's as good as it could have been. But when I texted you,
I'm going to totally disagree with you, but you tell me why.
Because when I texted you, you said,
No. I'll speak for myself. You say why you think it's not a good return. What did you expect for Claude Giroux?
I was thinking you're going to get 2 firsts.
Okay. Well, you also gave up 2 prospects too.
Have you heard about these other prospects before?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, Rubtsov I have, but Bunnaman I've heard of him. But
it's I thought you're going to get 2 firsts and a prospect back or a young player like Tippett.
Yeah.
Like I said, when we were messaging, it sort of did Drew sort of force Philly like sort of.
No, that's what I'm going to say is Drew forced Philly's hand. He said, I'm only going to Florida. Okay, well, if the Panthers know that, then I mean, hey, the market just got lower because if you think either you're gonna get him, you're gonna lose him for nothing. So like, does Florida does Florida really need Claude Giroux? No. Does Philly need to move Claude Giroux before they lose him for nothing?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's leverage. So the Panthers went, hey, like this is what the price is. We'll give you this.
Does it mean
we know you're not going to find anyone else.
Does it mean it's a bad return? No. You got a 22-year-old there in Tippett who.
You just look at Claude Giroux's stats and you think he's going to get more because there's other players that we're going to break down that got more somehow, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, Giroux is a complete player, and I mean, being 33 years old, going 34, like he's still as good, or if not better, than he was 5 years ago. I mean, his stats, 57 games, 18 goals, 24 assists, 42 points. I mean, on a bad Flyers team.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, even in a bad season, his defensive game has gone up. His offense has stayed the same. I mean, he's finishing on his chances, and he plays in literally every situation except the penalty kill. But if you look at Florida, I mean, they really don't have a lot to improve on. Now we're going to go through a few trades where they did improve their penalty kill. But yeah, their goals, 4 goals against, power play percentage, it's all going to go up just because they have Giroux, right? Now, Tippett going the other way for Philly, probably a good piece to get, right?
Yeah, young player. Like I'll bring up Philly's.
Yeah, I mean they're going to go through a rebuild here. Just you get rid of your captain, and you're going to get some young guys. Tippett's only 22. He hasn't had a lot of opportunity with the Panthers. Like this year, he's played 42 games. He's got 14 points.
You look at
but he's also played AHL games. He's played 12 in the AHL. He hasn't got really a sniff because you look at Florida's team. They don't really need him right now, right? So they used him as a chip to get Claude Giroux. I think that's a great trade for Florida to move him in this deal, right?
Yeah, a guy where he's going to get he's going to get opportunity now, and it's.
He's gonna have to work his way into the top 6. He's gonna be
he's slotted on that third line. Like he was playing 4th line there in Florida. He's slotted 3rd line right now on daily faceoff for Philly. So he's starting to move up. Like I said, he's gonna have to work his ass off, and
at least he's in the lineup.
But yeah, he's in the lineup. He's gonna have those chances to make that second line, and
I'm pretty sure Philly probably retained salary on Giroux, right? I'm pretty sure they did. He makes 8.5, so they probably did retain 50. So. That was a trade where I thought, you know what, Philly got a first round pick.
Play too,
and already. Technically, when you say you want 2 firsts, Owen Tippett was a first round pick.
Yeah, right. 2016 or something like that.
2019, I think. So yeah, I mean, you technically got 2 firsts and a third, and then you gave up a couple prospects that maybe weren't really in your plans. But for Florida, that's a good deal because even thinking you got a rental, you still got a couple guys prospect-wise back in Bunnaman and Rubtsov, right? So if one of them makes it, then it was probably worth doing it. You got something back, right?
There. And it's like I said, it just helps boost Florida for their for a deep playoff run.
Right. So the second trade, well, actually, that was the second trade that they made. That was the biggest one, in my opinion. The other one that they did was Ben Sherratt from Montreal.
Yeah, and then the Montreal, the other way they get, I can't even read your.
It's okay. It's Ben Sherratt. It's Tyler Similak. I would say Smilanek. I say Similac because that's what my daughter eats. It's called Similac. Oh. Anyway, Tyler Smilanek, he's a prospect. He was like, I think.
At a first and a fourth, right?
First and a fourth. So you got a first round pick for Ben Sherratt. I was talking with Lou about the Canadians, and, we look at advanced stats, and
his advanced stats are poo.
Yeah, but the thing is that he's on a really bad team too, right? So
that's true.
He's a playoff guy. Lou was saying, watch him in the playoffs. He's hard nosed, which is, you look at his advanced stats. He's a hard nosed player. He's not a special teams guy at all.
The one thing I like about this trade too is with Ekblad going down again. Daily Faceoff has him slotted in there on that top defensive pair.
And you know what's going to happen, right?
Ekblad will be back for the playoffs. They're going to Kucherov it.
They're going to Kucherov it for sure. Or Mark Stone, he'll be back for Vegas, whatever.
Yeah. So no, I think it's a good pickup.
He's no Aaron Ekblad. So you're going to see Mackenzie Weegar is going to have to play big minutes, and you're going to have to see him really perform well because Ekblad was their guy. Sherratt is not what Aaron Ekblad is at all. For Florida to give up a first, I mean, they also gave up a first in the Giroux deal. So their next 2 first-round picks are gone. But they're in a position right now, the Panthers, you go for it. This is the time to empty the tank and get what you need, right?
Even with Giroux, he's a rental and he's 33 and he's probably not going to re-sign. But you take Giroux out, you take Sherrod out there. They're still a good team. They're a young team. They're good. So like you said, unload these. You're gonna have your window here of 2, 3, 4 years.
Well, I wouldn't say 2, 3, 4. You got a 2-year window. You have to pay Huberdeau. You're gonna have to pay Barkov again. So I mean,
if you're winning, go all in now and
So I think Sherrod's just a hard-nosed guy. Don't put him on special teams. You don't want to do that because, I mean, he's not that great at power play or penalty kill. Pretty average offense. Defensively, not so good, but just hard-nosed. If you're looking for a playoff performer, Ben Sherrod's going to do that for you, right? You can look at advanced stats all day long. He has 7 goals and 11 assists this year on a bad Montreal team. That's pretty impressive, honestly, for a defenseman. So, I mean, sometimes those advanced stats don't do anything. And I was talking to Lou about it. I said, we look at this thing, it says 0% WAR. I mean, it doesn't mean it that much. It's a way to look at a player in a different way. There's different ways to look at worth, right? You watch a game and go, I want that guy because he's going to just crush you, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, that projected WAR we were talking about Tippett is 8%. Well, it's because he's a young guy, hasn't had a lot of opportunities.
Playing on a fourth line on a very, very, very good Florida team.
It's a snapshot of where they are right now. So I guarantee in probably 2 weeks with Ben Sherrod, that number is going to pop up because he's playing with a better team. Obviously, it's going to help, right? So that's just a snapshot of where they are now. And then the third one was Robert Hagg. I mean, 6th-round pick from Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, they picked him up his depth, right?
Yeah, he's that fifth defenseman there. He's going to be playing on the side there with Brandon Montour. And it's depth.
That's all it is. It's depth, and he's pretty average. He's one of the most average bottom pair D I've ever seen. That's all you got to do.
Do you see Florida making any other moves today?
No, I don't. I mean, if they did, it would be very, very minor, kind of like Robert Hagg, but I don't think they need to do anything more. I think they're done.
They've made their big splash. It'll be any little deals here. And
So there's our breakdown of the Panthers. A big trade from the defending Stanley Cup champs, two-time Stanley Cup champs, going for a 3-peat, is a guy that probably should have been on our list. Maybe in where we had Dominic Kubalik at 18, probably interchangeable a little bit, but Brandon Hagel, a forward from the Blackhawks, got traded to Tampa Bay with 2 4th-round picks, and in return, Chicago got the next 2 first-round picks from Tampa Bay, also with some prospects, Taylor Radish and Boris Kachuk. So big trade there. A lot of people were wondering, holy crap, how did Brandon Hagel get first-round picks? And I know you were one of them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm asking you, I'm like, what,
what are we talking about?
What are we? What is happening here?
The thing with Hagel is he's 23 years old. He is having a terrific season with Chicago. 56 games played. He's got 21 goals, 16 assists, 37 points. And so he's a player that's been one of their best guys, definitely in the top 6, sometimes top line, playing with Kane, right? So, but at the same time, he's got a $1.5 million cap hit for the next 3 seasons. So that's what you're buying, is you're buying control of a young player that's obviously, he might hit 30 goals this year, honestly. With Tampa Bay, he's gonna bag 30, right?
37 points in 56 games on a bad Chicago team.
And the thing too is Tampa Bay, those are late first-round picks, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to bottom out in 2024 either. They're going to continue to be good. So it's always going to be a late first. So I don't think that's a big deal for them to let it go. This is where you're pushing for 3. You want to get that kind of Blake Coleman type deal at the deadline. So Hagel is it for them. And to be honest, they didn't really give up that much other than those 2 first-round picks. Now, some of these prospects like Kachuk and Radish are both, I think, in the same boat. They're both 23 years old. They're not really getting – it's kind of an Owen Tippett situation, right?
Yeah.
Where these guys aren't getting a lot of opportunity. Looking at Chicago's lineup here, I mean, just where they're slotted in, Radish and Kachuk are in the top 9. They're going to get an opportunity to play. And, I mean, Chicago might not be done. I still think Kubalik is someone you have to look at maybe trading, because you can get something for him. These couple seasons are moved from 30 goals
One thing with Tampa too is I heard Stamkos. I don't know the exact quote, but it was, yeah, you know what? We're all in these picks. Use them. Let's use them and trade them while we have the core together and get that three-peat.
Exactly. And the one place where Hagel will really help too is on the penalty kill, because he's an above average penalty killer. Tampa Bay's right in the middle. Like their special teams, weirdly, they're both 14th, like power play and penalty kill. So
mid-league there.
Yeah, are you looking for someone like Hagel's going to help them on the PK? Technically, he's not really a power play guy. 5-on-5, he's been like pretty average. So I think he is someone where I think his shooting percentage is like 22%, which is insanely high, right? So is he going to cool down eventually? You know what that reminds me of is it was like the second season with Gus Nyquist in Detroit, and his shooting percentage was like 24%. Everything he was shooting was going in. That's going to slow down. So that's the thing is Brandon Hagel actually a 30-goal scorer, or has he been making the most of his chances? Because, he's in the 90th percentile in his like scoring chances and burying them.
And
so that might be a good thing, but it might be something where it's like,
I think it's going to dip now that on this high offensive Tampa team where he doesn't necessarily.
Are you getting the wool pulled over your eyes, right? Yeah. But giving up Tkachuk and Radish, not a big deal for Tampa Bay. You can afford to do it. But the nice thing is having Hagel for another 2 seasons at $1.5 million.
That's
because if he is a third, even if he's a 20-goal scorer, 1.5, that's a great return, right? Because the chances of those 2 first-round picks turning into what they're getting for him, they're probably going to turn into Radish and Tkachuk. That's probably what those first rounders will be,
liner,
right?
Maybe a guy that will flop on that bubble in that AHL call up or whatnot. Yeah. Top 6 AHL, and they'll be your fourth line when they get called up. But it's a nice pickup there for Tampa, right?
And then there was one late last night, another one with Tampa Bay. So we'll do that one as well.
Yeah.
They traded Matthew Joseph and a 4th-round pick to Ottawa for Nick Paul. So this one was interesting too, because Nick Paul was trying to get an extension with Ottawa and it didn't really work out. So you would assume, I don't know what Tampa's going to do with him, right? I think that's one of those wait and see, right? Because you can let him go.
Like,
he can go to free agency, do whatever he wants to do. So
they have slotted on that third line there too with Brandon Hagel. So,
but the thing that's interesting, and too, like looking again, advanced stats can be a little bit deceiving, but like Matthew Joseph was insanely good on the penalty kill. Nick Paul's pretty good too, but you would think that Tampa would give Joseph still a little more of a look on the PK than maybe they have. Maybe that's not really the reason they're doing it. I mean, 5-on-5, Nick Paul's a little bit better than Matthew Joseph. I mean, 4th-round pick. I mean, who really cares that much? And being on Ottawa, I don't think Nick Paul is getting really that much help. So, and maybe with Matthew Joseph, you're getting the opposite, right?
No, it's true.
He's playing with good players, right? So it's something where, the Senators got a player where I think they think they're, 24 years old. He's a little bit younger than Paul too.
Ottawa's done some weird trades already, like the Vancouver trade.
They've had a few,
but it's Tampa just, like I said, boosting up for that 3-peat.
And that's all you got to do is get a couple guys, load up a bit, go for it again. Boston Bruins picked up our number 9 ranked player on the Buschy and Bobo list, Hampus Lindholm from the Anaheim Ducks. So he's defenseman, $5.2 million cap hit, UFA at the end of the season, 61 games played, 5 goals, 17 assists for 22 points, 42 PIMs, even plus minus on an Anaheim team. Pretty nice. The Bruins we're trying to upgrade anywhere, looking for a defenseman, right? So you're going to add Lindholm to your top 4, I would assume. And I mean, looking at their team, man, I mean, Mike Riley has some really nice stats too. Charlie McAvoy, Matt Grzelcyk, Brandon Carlo, Clifton, and then Forbort. So Forbort's he's going to be
the guy that's out, and it's going to be Lindholm coming in there. So,
and Lindholm signed an extension, $6.5 million for 8 years, which woof.
8 years.
Oh my God.
It's going to be 35 by the time he's done it.
I guess they see something in him. I know, looking their PK for Boston, they're 10th in the league in their penalty kill. Lindholm is a good penalty killer. He's definitely well above average at it. So that's going to help them on the PK. And then even their goals for, goals against. I mean, obviously having a good defenseman like that. He's pretty average 5-on-5 though, right? So, I mean, that's why I think he's going to be more like your second pair, even like third for them. I mean, for someone that's not amazing on 5-on-5.
Like you said, they're top four.
Yeah.
Riley McAvoy, Grizzly, Carlo.
I'm trying. The interesting thing, I don't mind the trade because, well, what they did is they gave up. We didn't even say. Hampus Lindholm and Cody Curran. I've never heard of him. To Anaheim for a 2022 first, 2023 second, 2024 second. Urho Vakanainen, never heard of him, and John Moore. So they gave up a boatload for Hampus Lindholm. So they clearly were going, hey, we don't want him as a rental. We're going to sign him for longer. The trade, in my opinion, it's definitely feels like an overpay. The market has been bananas like the last few days.
You look
especially
at
defensemen.
Yeah, it's a trade there where I don't think Hampus Lindholm was worth that, but then like I said, the extension is I think was why they did the overpay there. It's like, right, we're getting this guy, he's going to be.
But the extension to me is kind of like, wow,
I don't like that extension.
8 years is insane.
I do not like that at all.
He's going to be 36, or I think he's going to be 36 when he's done that deal. So after like 3 years, I mean, if that, it's not going to be a great deal.
Because if it's a 3 to 5, I don't even like a 5 year. If it's a 3-year deal, 4-year deal.
That's the thing with these rental players is like you see sometimes they'll go and get an extension like this.
Yeah.
Before they even know if it's going to work.
Because
they want to protect an asset that they just got. Because obviously you wouldn't trade for a player if you didn't think it was going to work.
Yeah.
Right. So you're like, oh, I want this guy. We're going to sign him for a long time. So I'm going to be interested to see. I mean, there's going to be some guys shuffling around in Boston to get him in, but I mean, Anaheim clearly selling. That's the first of a few trades that they've made.
And they were a team too that we had them in a position because they had so much cap room. Are they going to buy? Are they going to sell?
Well, it was like I was saying, would they buy guys with term? Like that could be a part of their future, but like Jake DeBrusk or some player that's young that they could, give another opportunity to.
This is any indication. They're selling. So
they're selling for sure.
Guys like Rickard Rakell, should get moved, and
I think that might be the only guy. We've heard something about John Gibson. I don't think John Gibson's that good, but again, it only takes one GM to overpay for a goalie, right?
And Edmonton is looking for a goalie, so
Toronto. There's a bunch of teams looking.
Well, Toronto, they turned down that Fleury trade. So
what are you talking about?
What's his face? That
don't you fucking say Eklund.
No.
Hockey Insider.
No. Where did I saw it on? It was from a decent source.
Pierre Lagun?
No, not Pierre.
You've seen that's a new Twitter thing. It's all these guys that are trying to
troll it.
Yeah, be trolls.
No, it was
Zinger would be good at that. Yeah. We should get him to create a fake account. Be like Pierre McGuire or something, and then just like tweet out a bunch of trades.
Barb McKenzie.
Yeah. So okay. Anyway, I mean, hey, great return for Anaheim.
No,
you weren't re-signing Lindholm. He's not a part of your future at this point. They maximize what they got for him. I feel like I'm always on the fence of on the side of the fence of, okay, they got a ton of picks and prospects. I love it because they're fun coupons. It means you can turn that into something else down the line. You can take a lot of these picks that Anaheim is getting and turn it into something else. You can buy an asset. You don't just have to draft.
No,
right? That's the nice thing about having it. It gives you a lot of flexibility. There's no cap space involved in picks, right?
In picks, no. They're house tokens.
So I think, in my opinion, Anaheim wins that trade just because they got so much back for him. Boston, clearly, they're trying to get back to the promised land with Bergeron and Marchand and those guys one last time. Will this help? Yes, it will. To the extent of what they gave up, I don't think so.
Boston's always a team that, like I said, the last 10 years, they're always in that hunt or whatever. And it seems like it's a Boston move. It always seems like they're always busy at the deadline, near the deadline.
They're always linked to everybody.
Always looking.
By the way, just so you guys know, we have our sheet up here. Okay. All our kind of predictions on where they're going to go. So far we had Giroux. We didn't have Giroux going to Florida, but we did this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
We did have Hampus Lindholm going to Boston. So nailed that one. Then I don't think Robert Hagg was not on our list. And Sherratt we had going to Carolina or Edmonton. That makes no sense.
No,
he didn't.
We did have Lindholm, but we didn't have Lindholm going
we
anywhere.
didn't have. Oh, I lied.
We had Sherratt going to Florida.
We did. Okay, so we got one right. I don't think we guessed for Lindholm, but we definitely knew that he was going to Boston.
Yeah.
So if we would have updated the list, like it would have definitely been on there, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That'd have been the only team we would have put that return down like that as well.
Why do you clap every time?
I don't know. It's that cue, so then you know where to edit out.
No, I know where it is. I watch all of this and I laugh at it every time.
Colorado, a team that's expected to make some moves here, picking up a defenseman, Josh Manson from the Anaheim Ducks for Drew.
Hellison, never heard of him. This is my chicken scratch, man. Right, like a doctor. Figure it out.
Well, you're not a Dr. Randy Bush, but and then a second-round pick, 2023 second-round pick
from Doc Leo Randy Bush's Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, you know what, Colorado, they get that defenseman there, the top 4 defenseman there. They have him paired up here with Ryan Murray. Colorado's defense is looking pretty solid there. Where did we have him on?
We had Josh Manson on 20th. We don't have him on a big list there, but we have him going. Yeah, we have him 20th ranked. You were talking about maybe he was hurt. I think he's back, but he's played 47 games this year, 4 goals, 5 assists, 9 points, 55 PIMs +1. So I kind of looking at his game, he's more of a playmaking defenseman. He's a hard worker. So looking at, going into the playoffs, you want those guys. You want those grinder type defenseman.
You got your offensive defenseman there with Cale Makar and whatnot, Devin Taves, but
he's incredibly average 5-on-5, takes a ton of penalties, so that is not going to fly for Colorado, but because their PK is 20, right? So didn't do him any favors there, but that's basically what he's not really a special teams guy. But I don't think you really need that for Colorado because you have Makar and Taves.
I see that's a good depth move for him,
right? Because it's a $4.1 million contract. He's a rental, and giving up basically a second round pick. That's actually a pretty good move on Colorado's part. I think it's one of those trades where definitely Colorado, it's a good deal for them. Just giving up a second, not giving up a first is always a win.
Yeah,
if you're a rental team.
I don't think Colorado's done yet either today. I thought Giroux was going to be there.
Yeah, I think they'll take a swing at someone here. They might go back to Anaheim and go, hey, what about Rickard Rakell? Can we grab him? Remember I was talking about if someone misses out on Giroux, they might go for Rickard. That might be the guy.
Could be that other guy. They did make another move though.
They did.
They picked up Nico Sturm.
It was a 1-for-1 trade. So, Nico Sturm and Tyson Jost, right? So Minnesota, they made a swap there. So it was all about clearing cap space. And that's why I thought, something's coming because, they just picked up Manson. They moved on from Jost, who's making $2 million. Sturm's making 0.7 for 2 years. So Minnesota has someone under control. No, Jost has only got 14 points this season. Sturm's only got 17. So comparing, Tyson Jost is basically a defensive forward, bottom 6 guy.
Minnesota hasn't slotted right now as.
Yeah, he's in the 4th line, but he'll get some opportunities too. But he can move up and down the lineup. Minnesota is very light center, so that could be something where he got some opportunities there. He's more of a defensive guy, like I said. Draw some penalties. Nico Sturm is playing way better than he should. He's scoring on his chances. He only has 9 goals, but basically he should have less. But I think for Colorado, I don't really think they were looking at. Obviously, Nico Sturm is going to probably be a 4th line type guy, but
they have him slotted right now 3rd line with Compher and Newell.
I think it was more about getting that cap space, and that's why they did a 1-for-1 trade. So win for Minnesota. Jost gets a little bit of an opportunity there. And has another year left on his deal. Sturm, if Colorado doesn't want him, see you later, right? Because he's 26 years old, so I don't know how much better he's gonna get, right? But he is right now. He's above average 5-on-5, which is nice to have a guy like that on your 3rd line, right?
Yeah, it's a depth move. Is it because, like I said, clearing cap for something big later on? Could be. Calgary Flames made a trade the other day.
Yeah, they did.
They acquired center, winger, forward Cale Yarncroc there from Seattle.
It's Calle Yarncroke.
Kale, spell it like Calvin. Don't put a couple of E's on the end. Or now
you're a simpleton. Calle Yarncroke.
Fuck off.
Anyway, Calle Yarncroke, Red Wings pick from a while ago.
Well,
traded for David Legwand at the deadline a while ago, and I hated it.
Well, Calgary acquired him from Seattle for a 2022 second, a 2023 third, and a 2024 the seventh. Currently on daily faceoff, they have him scheduled, slotted in as the third line center.
That's exactly where he should be, because honestly, I think he's literally just going to be that perfect top 9 forward. I wouldn't put him any higher than that, but he's a defensive forward, which will help the Flames. I mean, Calgary's good at a lot of things. Okay, their goals against, they're number 1. I mean, expected goals against, they're third. They can use a little bit of help on the power play, which Yarncroke isn't going to help them. He's not really a power play guy, but he doesn't take a lot of penalties. He scores on his chances. That's the one thing that he will help them with is, the advanced stats. He's one that for the chances that he gets, he scores most of them. So, and also $2 million, very, very cheap. I'd have thought that Calgary Flames were done when they picked up Toffoli, but getting Yarncroke for that third line is actually a really nice pickup for the Flames going forward. So I think that's kind of pretty solid move by Calgary to get someone to plug that hole there. You got Monahan on the fourth line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He hasn't had a great season, but there's a lot of interchangeable lines there where you can kind of say they have a few second and third lines. They don't really have a fourth line, in my opinion.
No, they said it's a good pickup for them. I hate it as a Vancouver fan and Western Conference fan,
and even with Seattle, he's had a point every other game. 51 games, he's got 27 points.
And Seattle's a dog ass team, so
he's been doing pretty well with them. So, but that means he has had the chances. Will his scoring slow down with Calgary? Probably, yeah. But because he is playing with better players now too. So there's an argument to say for both. So Calgary, that's a nice pickup, picking up Calle Yarncroke. Two teams that have already made trades, made another ones, Minnesota and Anaheim. Anaheim is stocking up on the draft picks. And it's a nice way to restock your tool shed basically, because they got a lot of young guys. They got a 3rd round pick for Nick Delorier. So that's a great trade for Anaheim. Just getting rid of a guy that's making $1 million for the next year, just basically a UFA this year. Nick Delorier is a penalty kill grinder enforcer. Big dude, and he's going to play on the fourth line
with Tyson Jost, who we just talked about.
The one thing where it will help Minnesota if they're looking at that playoff run is, again, just having the grit. When I think of Nick Delorier, these type of trades always reminds me of 2007 Anaheim, Brad May. That's all they did at the trade deadline was pick up Brad May for nothing. And that's all they did because that's all they really needed. Now, I'm not comparing that's a 2007. No, but I am. But I'm not comparing the 2007 champions to Minnesota, but I'm saying that type of move.
The most average hockey team.
Yeah, honestly. That type of move is something where Minnesota's penalty kill isn't that good. They're 22nd in the league. So this should help them a little bit in terms of getting something. But also, Delorier takes a lot of penalties. A lot of his penalty minutes are fights. But it is something
up for his teammates.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're killing penalties, but you're also putting your team on the penalty kill. So kind of a, what is that? They say, bite the hand that feeds you type of thing, or whatever. There's some type of expression. You can look it up yourselves because I don't want to think about it right
You're
now.
Not a philosophizer.
I'm not a philosophizer. But Minnesota just picked up Nick Delorier. So congrats, Minnesota fans. Here's the section that Leafs fans were waiting for.
Hold on to your caps.
Toronto did make a few trades. The big one that they made was getting Mark Giordano from the Kraken. And this is definitely going to help the Maple Leafs. The trade that they made, in my opinion, was a nice one. They didn't give up a first-round pick, which they don't have, but they did give up some picks, 2022 second, a 2023 third, and a 2024 third for Giordano and Colin Blackwell. So they got a player coming back as well as a forward, right? So Mark Giordano is a top 4 defenseman. He's got a good first pass, and he does prevent scoring chances against, right? So that's exactly what the Leafs need. Jake Muzzin is still hurt, right? So, looking at their squad, you literally have Jekyll and Hyde on your top pair with Morgan Rielly and Ilya Lyubushkin, because Morgan Rielly is straight up a forward playing defense, And then Buschy is literally the complete foil to that. He is all defense, and that's all he does.
Would you say they're Jekyll, Hyde?
Jekyll, Hyde, Jekyll. And then, having Brody's been kind of like, he's just there. Giordano is going to help that top 4D. If they get Muzzin back for the playoffs, great. Throw him on that third pair. You do have some young guys. Justin Hall's been taking a ton of shit from Leafs fans. He had a good year last year, right? I mean, he's struggling this year. Rasmus Sandin is still on their bottom 6. And then you do have Timothy Liljegren too. Those are 2 young guys, right? So you would love to get Muzzin back. But adding Giordano for that price is pretty nice. And Colin Blackwell is not a bad player either. I mean, he's got 8 goals and 9 assists on the season in 39 games played. So
they got him playing on that fourth line there with Spezza and Simmons.
And he is finishing on a lot of his chances too. So it's something where he's scoring at a clip where maybe it's not sustainable, but it also is a nice depth piece for the Leafs, right? I mean, you always say you can never have enough depth in the playoffs. So a player where maybe a lot of Leafs fans will go, who? But I like it. I like that they had him in there too. I mean, you look at it, I honestly think they could have got Giordano for a second and a third, but I think they wanted Blackwell too, and they added another third, and like, give us him too.
The depth is one thing. Like I said, you can never have enough depth in the playoffs. That's the one thing. Like the Leafs' top 6 you don't necessarily need to worry about that. And if you go on a deep playoff run, you can't have those guys out all the time.
Yeah, and Giordano, I think Seattle retained salary on him, obviously to help Toronto stay under the cap. Blackwell makes he's 0.7 for 1. It's a great pickup for the Leafs. And I think that's going to be the underrated one is Blackwell, honestly. Like he's going to be the also ran with this trade because it's Giordano, right?
You know what you're getting with Gio already. Like the only thing with him, like he has to go play for his hometown team. As long as he doesn't pull a Foligno and wear like a stupid hat as a kid.
Yeah, I have a blanket. I mean, I had the same thing. I played for the Red Wings. I had all this stuff in my basement. But the one thing that I was interested in, and I kind of realized this the other day was, like, you know what the theme of the trade deadline is right now? It's trading your captain after he's played 1,000 games.
Yeah.
Like Claude Giroux.
Yeah, Giroux's gone.
Oh,
Gio's
also,
gone.
because we talked about Giroux, another cool little stat is, did you know in history, this is the only time that a player has played exactly 1,000 games with one franchise and then left? Like Giroux literally played 1,000 and then got traded. I don't think that'll ever happen again. I mean, Gio played 1,000, but he was with Calgary for a longest time, right? So again, I think Toronto did really well with this trade. I know I like chirping the Leafs, but I really do like this trade.
I have heard people chirp it saying, "Oh, you could have got Gio for like nothing because he was in the expansion draft," but
that doesn't mean. What do you mean?
I've seen people on Twitter trying to roast that trade, saying Giordano was given up for pretty much nothing.
Okay.
And that the Leafs could have got him in free, but there's an expansion draft beforehand.
How did he get him for free? Seattle's the only one who can pick him.
I didn't say. I'm saying. I saw it on Twitter. Leafs fans saying, "Why are we doing this? We could have got him for free."
Well, okay, those fans are stupid. Obviously, it wasn't waivers, guys. It was an expansion draft. The one team could. Anyway,
it's a good pickup.
Listen, it's a good pickup. Okay, it's a good pickup. Is it all that Toronto needs to do today? No. I mean, the Leafs did make another trade, but before we talk about that,
let's get into the actual Leafs themselves and what's happening with.
They don't need any more forwards. I think with defense, they're kind of done. This is what they do with their goaltending. I don't know.
Atrocious.
The goaltending. Peter Mrazek got waived yesterday. Yeah. You got Jack Campbell's been hurt, and somehow he made the All-Star game. I don't think he's that good. And I said at the beginning of the year, if you're rolling with Jack Campbell, I don't know, man. He's like Chris Osgood light, in my opinion. Like, you think Chris Osgood was behind a good team and had good stats?
No, he had a good
this is what you're seeing when you don't have a good defensive team, right?
It's
I think that was kind of what do they call it? A fugazi.
I've got to call it the French guy.
It's not real, right? Anyway, so they need a goaltender.
Like, but Eric Hellgren's not enough.
Eric Hellgren's not enough. No, of course not, right? But the funny thing that I go, they are so cash strapped and so they don't have a lot to give up. They went out and signed Harry Sateri from the KHL. And also he did win a gold medal in the Olympics for Finland. Give him a lot of credit. And he played really, really well. And he's had a good year in the KHL. if that is your move, that is not going to work. I'm telling you right now, the Olympics and the KHL are not the NHL. Now listen, my Red Wings had him. They had Harry Sateri. He's the backup in Grand Rapids a few years ago. The backup. Okay? So now you're going to rock with him and a rookie. That's not going to fly.
Was Mrazek the starter then too?
Oh my God. I mean, in Detroit, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Probably. Right? So they need to do something. Now, the one guy that I would have went after hardcore, and even maybe if I was Edmonton, because maybe if Ken Holland sees it, Anton Forsberg.
And he just signed.
He just re-signed with Ottawa, and I mean, I think it was a three-year deal.
3 year, 2.75 mil.
Anton Forsberg is having an incredible season, and no one's talking about it because he's been through waivers a bunch of times, and he's been really, really good on a bad Ottawa team.
Horrible Ottawa team.
And does Ottawa want to?
No longer the goalie there. It's going to be Forsberg moving forward, and
but does Ottawa want to trade with Toronto to help them out? Probably not. You have to overpay to get them, but. If you're a team like Edmonton, if you're a team looking for goaltending, Anton Forsberg probably was one of the guys. He's off the board now. But Toronto definitely needs to look at a goalie. I don't think they have what it takes. If they got Marc-Andre Fleury, I'd be shocked. I would drop on the floor. I don't know how they would get that done, honestly.
They can't.
Would it help them? Sure, but
they can't. There's no way they get him, Fleury.
Right. But, okay, so that's what Toronto needs. They also made another trade. They moved the defenseman to make room, basically, for Giordano.
Yeah, they ended up trading with my Vancouver Canucks. So Vancouver, they ended up trading Travis Dermott to Vancouver for a 2022 third-round pick via Winnipeg.
Now, the nice thing about that is you're basically recouping a pick that you've given up, which is nice, right?
What we did, too, on that is Vancouver, they ended up in the end of the trade, because they made another trade yesterday too, saving 1.5 million cap. They traded Travis Hamonic to Ottawa. Travis Hamonic making $3 million for this year and next year. Actually, you know what? Both of these guys are on 2-year deals.
No, there you go.
Guy, he's set. So we get someone 7 years younger. And we have him. Do we even have him placed in here right now? No.
I think Travis Hamonic has been incredibly overrated for a long time, and I don't understand what the infatuation is with him.
And we got a third-round pick from him from Ottawa too.
Well, great, but then you basically.
I don't know if that's the same third-round pick or not.
Well, whatever. I mean, it's a nice flip. You basically
you
traded Dermott for
a third.
No, you traded Dermott for Hamonic.
For Hamonic, yeah.
That's basically what happened. And at the same time, Toronto, if you really want to break down the Toronto trade, Giordano and Blackwell, you basically traded Giordano and Blackwell for a second and a third and Dermott. That's what you did. Which is not, you upgraded Dermott to Giordano, you traded a third for Blackwell, and you had to throw on a second. That's not a bad deal. But yeah, picking up Dermott for Vancouver might be a nice pickup. Just a change of scenery, getting away from Toronto might help him out, because Dermott was one of those guys. Again, you always overvalue your own players, and I do it too. I mean, I'm guilty of it, but Toronto fans for the last when he came into the league were like, he's the next guy. So I said the same thing about Danny DeKeyser, guys. It's okay, it happens, but he clearly was not the guy.
The nice thing about this too is like when we got him, we signed him pretty much as like just a UFA for Diddley Squad.
But that's the only place he wanted to go. He wanted to go close to his family or something,
yeah,
right?
We signed for Calgary Poo, and we ended up getting a third round for like a third round or Dermott for him in the end. It's nice trade. So Vancouver, come on, we made up 1.5 mil on that trade, but I think Vancouver still got some pieces they're moving today. I think after the loss, especially after the loss, guy said, let's go in sell mode.
Right. We had Giordano 7th on our list, right? Did we have him
get moved?
Where did we have him going? He's more towards the bottom there. Florida, Anaheim. Yeah, we had him maybe going Florida. We didn't think about Toronto.
Because the money.
It was more about the money, yeah. And I think something that we need to do for next year is we didn't look at the players' cap hit technically, because even though it says like $6 million, it's prorated over the next. Yeah. Right. So he's not actually $6 million. It's way less than that. So they can actually fit him. But for next year, it would be a problem type of thing. So we'll have to do that. So I think watch for Toronto. I mean, they really do need a goaltender. That, I mean, I would have said they needed a lot more on defense, but if you have Giordano, if you get Muzzin back, you might be looking a little bit better, but you definitely need a goal.
Toronto go for a goalie. Vancouver sell off Miller,
Besser,
Mott,
maybe.
Besser.
They're going to have some decisions to make just because they're kind of in the middle. We can talk about the Canucks real quick just because, that's your team, right? So they're in the middle. They're kind of,
It's frustrating. Like we have a hot streak. We have a cold streak. We're in that weird spot right now.
Do you sell or not?
I say sell. I said that 2 weeks ago when we were on our
JT Miller's having an incredible season, and we have JT Miller at number 5 on our list. And if we want to kind of pull his stuff up here really quickly, he's had a terrific season. He's had 73 points in 61 games.
He's had 24 goals,
I'm
gonna say like a career resurgence in Vancouver.
He's 28 though. So is it something where do you want to pay him? You're gonna have to pay him a 7-year deal.
2 years. I say you try to flip him now because you still any team that gets him for a 2-year deal. If you're Colorado, do you look at a guy like him?
Yeah, or if you're the Canucks, do you wait? Because right now I think it's going to cost an arm. It'll cost way too much to get JT Miller on that team because again, we look at the term. That number 2 there, 2 years.
That 2 years.
If it was a 1,
if it's
a
one,
lot easier to maybe trade for him. With the 2, you're gonna have to give up a ton. So that's the only way that I see. I don't think he'll move. I think he's one of the best, if not the best player. He
has been the best player. Well, in Vancouver, he's been obviously the best player. He's probably one of the top guys on our list. And
yeah, it has a 1 here. Look at that. Screwed it up. Yeah, so that's a guy you look at. Brock Besser, right? We have Brock Besser at number 11.
Yep, so I think he has he's on the 1-year deal or last year of his deals making 5.9.
He's got 36 points, 18 goals. He's having a good season, right? But he is pretty average 5-on-5. I mean, he's decent on the power play.
I can compete because he is a Minnesota boy. There's always me linking him to Minnesota in some sort of trade.
I don't really put too much stock in he's from here, he's gonna go there. I don't think a GM gives a shit.
No, I don't necessarily think that's a thing, but I feel like he fits that Minnesota. He's just
Minnesota could use him in a top 6, basically, is what you're talking about.
Yeah, he could play up there, but he's just an average player for an average team, and
right. You can put him on your second line and just leave him, right?
Yeah.
But is he a part of your future? He's 24 years old. Is he a part of the Canucks' future?
I don't think so, because like I said before, we got Connor Garland, same age, same everything, and on term.
You're right. Well, another guy that Vancouver could move and probably get a lot, and the one guy that I would expect to get moved today is Tyler Mott.
Yes.
I think he's someone that will get moved.
Tyler Mott should get moved.
I think deleted him. I have him on. Oh yeah, we do. I have him at number 22.
Yeah, because I know I had him up pretty high.
He would be a nice pickup because he doesn't really have a lot of it.
He's only making 1.2. I had him we have him linked here to Pittsburgh and Edmonton, whatever that's worth.
Well, because Edmonton can't pay that much, but he's a guy that even strength defense is nice.
He's a good bottom 6, 4th line player.
Right. And he's not gonna. It's weird because 7 goals on the season. Looking again. Take it as you will, but the advanced stats showing he actually he's scoring more than he should. But his defense is what you would look at. And for any team that's looking for even strength type defense, he's not really a great penalty killer, but just in that defensive zone, he's pretty good.
In that late game.
1.2 mil too, so very easy cap hit.
Very nice contract there to take on if you're a contender.
I bet you could grab a 3rd rounder for him easy. If you can get a 3rd round for Nick Deslauriers, I think you can get a 3rd round for Tyler Mott. So, other than that, do you see anybody else on Vancouver moving?
I think Halak, I know he was a name that we had up there. I don't think he necessarily gets moved now.
Yeah, he's had a pretty rough go.
He's had a very, very...
his goals against is 3.6.
It's horrible. He was one at the beginning of the year. I'm all right, we're signing him as trade bait.
Yeah.
But he's been just an absolute ass.
And I don't think as a playoff team, you're going to want to trade for that. There's other goalies out there that I think you could get.
Yeah.
That would be better than
I think anyway. You can get a guy like Braden Holtby, who's only making around the same.
Martin Jones is out there. Martin Grace, he's not that good.
I think Holtby would be if you're any team and you want to go.
Corpusalo possibly. But like I said, Forsberg probably would have been the guy.
He would have been the guy.
He's off the board because he's back in Ottawa. But
Vancouver, it's interesting to see what will happen. Like I said, I think you move Besser because I don't want to pay him more. He's going to ask for at least $7 million.
Right. And it's something
we have Connor Garland, who is a better version of Brock Besser. Keep that. And try to get any assets that you can.
Yeah. So, the Vancouver Canucks, we'll keep an eye on them. The Leafs also, I mean, we've got TSN up. They're going to talk about the Canadian teams all day. So we'll talk about the American teams coming up. All right, this is what we call the trade speed round, because there's a lot of small trades that happened as well that we don't really need to break down that much. Frank Vatrano got traded from the Florida Panthers to the New York Rangers. That's a cap space move that helped the Panthers pick up Giroux, pick up Sherratt and Hag. So
Frankie V, he was a former random player of the week for us.
Yeah. I mean, he's just kind of a below average guy everywhere else. I mean, he scores more than he should. So there you go. Frank Vatrano to the New York Rangers. We got another one.
Yeah, Pittsburgh picks up Nathan Beaulieu there from the Jets in return for a conditional 7th round pick.
Nathan Beaulieu is just an incredible
depth defenseman,
depth replacement type player.
4 points on the year in 24 games.
That's going to be someone where you only use him if you really need to.
Yeah.
Mason Appleton is going back to the Jets. We'll talk about that in a second. For a 2023 4th round pick. I mean, he's got 17 points on the season, so Appleton's going back to Winnipeg. We got a big trade. We're going to break that down in a second. Scott Wedgwood going from the Coyotes to the Dallas Stars for a 4th round pick. Not really sure what Dallas needs him for. Jeremy Lauzon going to the Nashville Predators for a 2nd round pick from Seattle. So the Kraken have a ton of 2nd round picks. Lauzon's a younger guy. Pretty good pickup for the Nashville Predators as a depth guy. Maybe he can turn into something here. And then the last one I want to talk about is, my Red Wings made a move. They did get rid of Troy Stecher, which I didn't really expect them to get anything for him. They got a 7th round pick for him.
Good for
I don't really need to. He went to the Kings. I don't really need to break down Troy Stetcher's game. I think Detroit fans really overvalued him, and saying that he got mismanaged by Blashill, and it's really, I mean, if he can't crack Detroit's lineup, he's not that good, guys. Okay, getting anything for him was great because he's moving on anyway. So with the Red Wings, I know we have some big trades that we want to break, but we're going to talk about this just quick because we don't know what what's coming back here.
I saw the return.
There's 2, but anyway, we'll break it down.
You break down the Wings. I'm going to try to find the whole return.
The Red Wings have a few guys. Like, they have Nick Leddy. They've held him out of the lineup the past game or two. I mean, we gave up a 2nd round pick for him. I would expect to get the same back. I mean, on your turn, he hasn't had a good year at all. But I would love to see to get something for him back, at least a 3rd. Another guy, maybe we were talking about Thomas Grace. No one's going to want him either. The intriguing one is kind of Vlad Nemesnikov. He's got a really good season with Detroit. I mean, he loves being there. It's something where I expect him to maybe stick around. I mean, he's someone you can move up and down your lineup. He's on the top line right now. He's played on the 3rd and 4th line. He can move all over the place. He loves being there. He gets in fights. He's scrappy. And he's scored, I think, 11 or 12 goals on the season. So not too bad from Nemesnikov. The one that I'm really curious about is Tyler Bertuzzi. That's one that's been popping up in trade rumors lately. Like, he still has another year left after this season. And he's going to score 30 goals. He hasn't played in Canada. Which might put a little bit of a hair in the soup for some teams, I guess. But if you're talking about selling high for Bertuzzi, this might be it. You have to assess, and Eisman's got to assess, is he part of the future going forward? I know he just signed him, but it's something where
signing doesn't necessarily mean that
well, it happened last year. Anthony Mantha got moved for Vrana, and I think with Bertuzzi, you would try to get a similar return. And if you can't get it, maybe you just hold on to him. It's not like you have to, Eisman has to do anything. For Red Wings fans, I wouldn't be disappointed if not a lot happened, because they don't have a lot of assets to move. If there's anyone that's going to surprise you, though, it's Steve Yzerman. So I'm just waiting, because they need help everywhere. Couple little trades that just happened. Not even trades. They'll have a couple of re-signings. So Jake DeBrusk just re-signed with Boston, so he's off the board. We had him rated number 10. So he's apparently, after requesting a trade, probably smoothed the waters over, and he's going to stay with the Bruins. Brian Little's contract just got traded from Winnipeg to Arizona. That's just Brian Little's been out for a long time.
Yeah,
so
hasn't played in 2 years, and even when he only played 7 games.
It's helping Arizona get to the cap floor.
Nathan Smith involved in that trade, also going to Arizona.
I don't even know who that is. So. But yeah, there's a couple trades. We're still waiting to get the return for a few of them. So
the big one that just happened, which I am seeing the return here from Frank Savarelli.
Yeah, well, we'll break it down. Let's go and look, and we'll check it out, and we'll get back to them. How about that?
Okay.
Let's do it. Well, Toronto fans, you're shit out of luck. Another goalie is off the market, and the one that everyone was clamoring for, all the fantasy Toronto GMs out there. Marc-Andre Fleury is going to the Minnesota Wild.
That was the one trade that happened when we were going through it. I'm just like, hey.
That's the one. So I just was like, well, let's wait. Let's break it down. Let's figure out what's going on. See the return. Very nice trade for Minnesota. Like, extremely good, because they're giving up a conditional second-round pick that can become a first if Minnesota reaches the conference finals and Fleury wins 4 games in the first 2 rounds.
Which he would have to anyways.
And I mean, they're goaltending in Minnesota. I mean, 23rd overall. Cam Talbot. We were talking about the All-Star game. Cam Talbot was in the All-Star game.
Well, Cam Talbot, he's not his last 5.
Yeah, great. But like if you can go get like they said, the Vezina winner from last year, then go get him.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
It's cheap. I mean, go grab him, and you have him for the year. I don't think they'll bring him back next year.
No, because you're already going to, well, if you do, you're going to sign him on a stupid floor, because TSN was just saying too that Parise and Suter contracts are off the books, so they're going to be like $14 million.
No, they're not. They have him for the next like 4 years.
They're going to be like $14 million under the cap next year.
What are you talking about?
That's what they were just saying.
You didn't listen. Dude, Parise and Suter had 13-year deals, and they got bought out. They're going to have a hit for the next like decade.
Oh, fuck. Well.
Did you also know that Nazem Kadri's 5th in scoring in the NHL?
You know what?
You clown. We're going to start calling him Bozo instead of Bobo.
We did not have Fleury going to Minnesota.
No, we didn't.
We had him. I had Boston.
There's no way I thought he was going to go to Minnesota. But, I mean, that's where he went. So there's not a ton to break down. I mean, he's had he hasn't had a great season. 290 goals against average, but Chicago's been terrible. 5
goals last night.
Yeah, snapped his stick over the wall. It's something where there was some reports that he was maybe going to say, I don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah,
but at the same time,
turned down Washington. He said he wasn't moving there, which is a Pittsburgh thing.
He's a Pittsburgh guy, right? So again, I can't say anymore. I think Chicago getting a pick for him, great. I mean, you kind of now if you're a Chicago fan, you're rooting for Minnesota now. You want them to do well. You get that first round pick. That's the way that it would work out for both teams. So Minnesota's made a few moves. Delorier, Jost, Fleury, they're picking up some guys. So they're and they didn't really give up that much. They give up Sturm and a pick. So or a couple picks anyway. Now we're working on another one as well.
Everything that's come back is just saying draft picks. So
we'll just talk about. I mean, it's not a huge trade, but Marcus Johansson
going back to Washington
from the Kraken. So apparently, it's Johansson for some draft picks.
For Daniel Sprong and draft picks, and Seattle's retaining 50% of the salary.
Yeah. So Washington picking up a guy that can play in their top 9. Kind of shoring up their offense too. I mean, some guy that can play on the power play. Weirdly, Washington's power play hasn't been that good this year. They're 24th in the league. So Johansson could maybe help that.
Also with the Fleury, going back to the Fleury trade.
And Mantha's back for Washington. He's been out all year too. So going back
to the Fleury trade, what the hell? They're saying Kakkonen there, or Kakkonen, whatever the fuck the other goalie is. They're saying he is going to get traded. It's not a part of this deal, but there's a goalie out there for the Leafs fans.
There's a guy there, but also it's kind of like, man, I guess maybe they're just kind of giving up on him too. But okay, how about this? I could see maybe Detroit taking a whack at him.
They did for Nedeljkovic, and
I know. I mean, and he had a couple good games the last few, but I mean, he's been kind of underwhelming the second half of the season. The whole team has been, but we'll see.
So we're a couple hours in. We're what? 3.5 hours in, and there's a big name off the board already.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a bunch of guys off the board. We still got some
off from today so far.
Yeah, I mean, just in our top here. I mean, we can go through this really quick because there's really nothing else happening right now.
Yeah, nothing going on at the moment.
The caps here, but Jacob Chikrin's our number 1. Just to recap a few here, but he's hurt right now, so who knows? John Klingberg from the Stars, right?
Star 3.
So yeah,
Klingberg. So you know what? I'm just going to cross off the guys that are gone. Boom.
There you go. So we went through JT Miller already. Phil Kessel's only got 6 goals on the year, $8 million. I don't think he'll move anywhere. I think the Coyotes might be trying because they took on Brian Little's contract, so maybe they have something brewing. They re-signed their goalie Vejmelka, so probably a little deal there. like I said, I would be looking at Rickard Rakell if I was a team like Colorado. I mean, that's one team that I could see going after him. Maybe even like St. Louis, someone like that, LA even. DeBrusque can't resign. Besser. Hurdle resigned. That's another guy we're going to talk about. That's why we had him a little bit lower on the list, as he resigned with the Sharks 8x8. So that's a big trade as well. He's their best player. I mean, people that are shocked about it is like, well, you got to keep your best players. The number one goalie we have on here is Braden Holtby. That might be what the Leafs have to do is try to get him Stanley Cup champ, right? I mean,
he's having a bounce back year. This is a bounce back year for Holtby. Yep. He's been it's been solid there for Dallas. So. Yep.
And then just kind of like, let's fly through a few of these. Like I talked about Nemesnikov a little bit. Calvin DeHaan from the Islanders. Arturi Lehkonen, I don't think is going to move because he's restricted, and I don't think Montreal is really keen on moving away from him. Andrew Kopp is someone I think the Jets are definitely going to move on, and he would be a great pickup for any playoff team. I think he'd be a great fit for even their second line center position, or even if you want to play him on your third line. I think he's an effective player as well. So Kopp. Kubalik was one where we were talking about Hagel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and then I did talk about Nick Leddy a little bit.
We talked about Mott.
Yeah. The Flyers, they were saying the only other guy that maybe they were looking at move was maybe Justin Braun. Yandel's there too. I don't know what they'll do with him, if anybody even wants him. His stats haven't been that good.
No, other guys like Max Domi, Jarro Halak said he's probably not going to get moved. Paul Stastny, PK, Chara.
Brett Kulak, maybe from Montreal. Ristolainen re-signed with Philly, which is just, in my opinion, one of the worst contracts I've ever seen for a player that doesn't do that much. And then Colin Miller, and then we have Tippett that moved. So those are all the guys that are on our list.
Our list
doesn't mean they're not going to move, because on our other list that's not in the top 30, some other guys like Cody Eakin, Chris Tierney, Johansson, which wasn't in our top 30, but Johansson was on our big board trying to see who might move.
It's funny. I'm looking right now while you're going through this. I'm looking at the TSN trade bait big board there.
We've got a lot of them.
Rickard Rakell's their number one guy right now.
Now he is.
And then the number 2 guy, Max Domi.
I don't understand that one, but okay. I mean, you want to grab him, go for it. There's other guys that can move. We had JVR in here, Clutterbuck, Tyler Ennis,
guys,
Curtis Sanford
with lower. It seems
Tatar,
like a lot of our guys are lower contracts or whatnot.
Yeah,
a lot more friendly. So
on D, there's a lot of guys that have already moved. Like I'm looking at these guys, and like Nick Leddy might be the next guy, other than John Klingberg. But Nick Leddy might be the next guy if you need a defenseman. Because I mean, I don't think Chikrin's going to move, and if they did, it would be for a haul. So, and he's hurt too. So, So and any goalies? I mean, Fleury's gone. Forsberg's off the board. Yeah. I don't think you have a whole lot. Halak's crap. So I think
we have
now you got to add Kokkonen to it too, because now they're probably going to move him. Which that's another guy you can look at. So guys, like looking at the board, like there are some things on TSN and Sportsnet. They have some different guys like Carson Soucy, like Jacob Middleton. I have no idea.
You still have Jake DeBrusk there, even though he just re-signed. And
they have to update it, but. Yeah, it's interesting to look at some of these guys that are trading. I mean, we came up with this, like I said, with these lists
2 weeks. We would have done it
before looking at these TSN boards, which is kind of interesting because they probably do the exact same thing we did. Just looked at all the moves, like literally everybody on there except Reimer, Leddy, DeHaan, Klingberg, Miller. We went through all those. James Reimer. I mean, if you want a goalie, hey, Toronto brings back Optimus Ryan.
Bring him back. Well, fuck it. Why not?
Yeah, we'll see. So, until the next trade is we're all caught up. So we've had a few trades break as we were doing this, but we broke down a lot of trades. Nothing was really going on. So we got 3.5 hours left until the trade deadline, and it always goes past. We know that. So usually gets a little bit crazy at the end. So me and Bobo are going to chill a little bit. We're probably going to get a za, have some beers, ditch the coffee mugs, and we'll go from there. So we just found out that Capo Kokkonen just got traded. I know we were just talking about, they're going to move him. They just did, and they moved him to the San Jose Sharks for Jacob Middleton, who's a defenseman, 26 years old, 1.7 mil cap hit, and they also got a 5th-round pick back.
Yeah. So, well, Kokkonen was pulled off the ice like they were going through the skates this morning, optional skate, and then they're like, hey.
You're gone,
so he's gone. I think Minnesota's looking at bringing up a goalie from Iowa tonight, just in case Fleury can't get in time.
But wait, is Talbot hurt?
No, Talbot's the.
Oh, they need a backup.
A backup, just in case. Just in case. I said Middleton, he's a grinder. He's 9 points, 45 games, but he's that
TSN had him 10th on their list. I have no idea why. I really don't know why they had him there.
He was playing second pair D with Erik Karlsson in San Jose. But goes to Minnesota there. You knew once Fleury was coming in that something was getting moved.
Yeah.
So,
and it wasn't going to be Talbot because he was going to take him, right?
Yeah. So
kind of a middling thing, but I think San Jose got the best of that deal because I think they just got a kind of a younger-ish goalie. I mean, all they have right now is James Reimer. So you know what? Good swing by Doug Wilson, San Jose Sharks to actually get a goalie. So go from there because Kakinen, I thought, had a good season a year or two ago. Maybe this is something where he can definitely compete with James Reimer.
Yeah, definitely he can. Like he said, he's only 25 years old. 12-8 this year, 12-8-3 if you want to count those. 287 goals against, and then 910 save percentage.
It's not bad. It's not great, but he's played 25 games. That's probably what half the season. So like him and Talbot have basically split.
Got a 1A, 1B.
Yeah,
with a hot hand, and
it's something where Fleury's definitely an upgrade on him. But again, it's a roll of the dice by Minnesota. They've made 3 trades already, so they're clearly trying to get it done this year. I don't think they have the firepower to do it, but it definitely helps.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here with them, and see if they can make it past the first or second round.
Another trade just rolled in. Justin Braun, who is number 23 on our list from the Philadelphia Flyers, got traded to the New York Rangers for a third-round pick. So just straight up for a draft pick.
2023 third.
Which is kind of what I'm expecting for Nick Leddy. So we got Stevie on the phone, get it done. Interesting thing about the New York Rangers, if you really look, Igor Shesterkin's having like a Hart Trophy season right now. Like he is incredible. And he's covering up a lot of mistakes made by defense. So like this is where advanced stats tells you a lot because New York is actually second in goals against, right? But their expected goals against is 22nd. So, I mean, defensively, not that great.
Need to tighten that up.
But Justin Braun, his even strength defense, he is very, very good defender. He's not going to be an offensive guy at all. He has 5 goals this year, 16 points. It's not bad. Good on the PK, hard worker. I mean, he's a playoff guy. That's basically what he's going to do for you. He's just going to be a defensive, hard-nosed, defenseman that doesn't really take a ton of penalties. I mean, he has 36 PIMs, but it's right in the middle. What do you think about Justin Braun to the Rangers? It's a big trade.
Huge trade. No, it's like I said, it's not going to be your offensive defenseman, but it helps out where you're. You said they're 22nd in goals against.
Well,
he's your defensive base. You look at the advanced stats, you see him right there, even defense, PK.
Yeah,
he's the guy that's going to help with that.
You know what I'm actually just been thinking, just because we're waiting, and like, why can't the NHL be exciting like the NFL, the NBA? Just like crazy ass trades happening. It's like we're breaking down Justin Braun.
You don't want to break down this Alex Biega for future considerations, which you said you weren't.
No. I want to break down Braden Burke for Frederick Allard. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, the Kings
I
got
have
a great
to Google
defense.
who the hell these guys are.
The Kings got a great defensive prospect there in Allard, and the Predators get Braden Burke, who is just having himself a year.
Mm-hmm. We don't know who they are. That's why I want to see some crazy blockbusters, man. Like, just throw out some guys with conscious all rentals and stuff.
There is you hear the rumor, okay, Rickard Rakell to the Rangers possibly, and
well, we were seeing him Brett Kulak to the Oilers. We don't know the return yet.
But then
so
it got pulled,
you know.
So it's once we hear that return.
Yeah, I don't think there is any right now. So yeah, but we'll get back to you on the Brett Kulak situation because depending on what the return is, I might have something to say.
Yeah, if those what you're hearing on the radio is correct, then
yeah, Lou has an insider Montreal radio station saying second round pick, but stay tuned, and when we find out, we'll let you know. We just got a flurry of trades. We had 3 in the last 5 minutes. We've been sitting here for about an hour and a half. Nothing's been going on. Although Peter Mrazek clears waivers. Harry Sateri for Toronto does not. Arizona claimed him, so back to the drawing board, Toronto, for your goaltending situation.
Do you get Reimer? Do you get Martin Jones? Philly said he's out there, so
we might have to get Lou on the horn here because we have a couple Montreal trades. One that I think he'll like, and one that he absolutely will not. And I'm on the same boat as him. So let's start with the one that we've been waiting on for a while. We said Brett Kulak got traded to Edmonton. We didn't know for what.
What was the return?
So it's a second-round pick and William Lagesson, so just some 26-year-old guy. But they need bodies. Lou is saying they need bodies. They've got a lot of injuries. But
this Lagesson guy, I looked up his stats quickly, and it's nothing to really look at.
But Brett Kulak is a very, very good defensive defenseman. Not amazing, offense-wise. He got 3 goals and 10 assists. But it's another type of player that, it has to fit on. The Oilers have always been looking for defense. So if you're looking for someone that's just going to be really good 5-on-5 in defense, it's going to be Kulak, but he's not really going to do a whole lot else. He's a tougher dude. We've seen a lot of these defensemen that have kind of the same characteristics, right? That are getting moved for like a second or third round pick. I think this is a really good trade for Montreal. Again, you're getting assets for Edmonton. I mean, like, what else are you going to do? This is all they got. Man. This is all that they can do.
You're strapped against the cap. There's not much you can do. Defensive wise, you got the offensive firepower in your top line there or whatnot. You need to stop that team from scoring. So here's a guy that's good defensively, and we'll see what happens.
That's the first trade. The second one that we're looking at here is
Colorado.
We had Arturi Lehkonen. Was he on our list?
Yeah, he was 16th.
Yeah, 16th on our list.
Him off there.
I didn't think Arturi Lehkonen was going anywhere because he's a restricted free agent at the end of the year. Montreal still controls him. But Lehkonen just got traded to the Colorado Avalanche
for a second, and 20-year-old Justin Barron. Barron split in time this year in both the AHL and Colorado. Played 2 games so far in Colorado. 20 points in 43 games in the AHL with the Eagles. And the Canadians are also retaining 50% of the salary there on Lehkonen.
I hate that trade for Montreal. I really do. I know. So Justin Barron, where did he get drafted?
Justin Barron.
Not that it really matters, but he's 20 years old, right?
He was a first-round draft pick in 2020.
Okay. So they're taking a swing at him. So maybe Colorado's looking at maybe that was the one that sweetened it, because I was going, man, he better be something special, because if it's just a second for Lehkonen is one of the best, in my opinion, defensive forwards in the league.
Yeah,
I mean, his offense is really good too. He's got 13 goals, 29 points.
That defense is solid there. And you look at we bring up the lineup here for Colorado.
Well, the nice thing is they're not going to really need him on any really special teams or anything like that, but he's going to fit in very nicely.
That just helps.
So they brought in Manson, Lehkonen, and Sturm, and they only lost Jost and some picks. That's pretty good. Colorado. I like that deal for Colorado. Lehkonen's going to fit in perfectly there. I think they kind of switched gears there without getting Giroux. That's probably their guy. Yeah, getting Lehkonen.
We thought, like you said, Raquel, go after Raquel, but
yeah, I like it for Colorado.
That's a nice pick up there for Colorado for not giving up necessarily too much in return.
And and we don't know, right? Maybe Lehkonen was asking for some crazy money, but again, he's restricted, so you have some leverage, right?
The only other trade we got before you go into your big one was that the big blockbuster deal here between the Ottawa Senators and the Boston Bruins. Zach Senyshyn and a 5th round pick to Ottawa for Josh Brown and a 7th round pick. But that's not the one
let's break down. Happy. Listen, man, every single time, Steve Yzerman he shocks me with some of these trades. And we've seen Andrew Cogliano going to Colorado. There's another one. So we'll look at that. San Jose just traded Cogliano to Colorado. Anyway, Nick Leddy was the only really Red Wing I thought was going to move today for sure. They held him out. They ended up moving him. He was 21 on our list. I'm not really sure where I had him going, but they did trade him to St. Louis. We didn't have him going to St. Louis, but the Blues just picked him up along with Luke Witkowski, who's an AHL guy, for a 2nd round pick in 2023, Oscar Sundqvist, and I think it's Jake Wallman.
Yeah,
I didn't expect that they would get a return where they would actually get more than what they got for him. That is incredible to me, that either Yzerman is that good at his job / the market is that high that he squeezed this, because they only gave up a 2nd round pick to get him from Long Island.
Yeah.
And they just got it back. I would have been happy with that. I would have been happy with a 3rd round pick. He got a 2nd round pick and a roster player. He got Oscar Sundqvist was on that Blues team that won the Stanley Cup. Now, I don't know if you want to look up Oscar Sundqvist stats for me. That would be kind of sweet, because I haven't really looked. I don't know if I want to get like super excited about that, but I'm excited that they got the pick back plus a player. You know, I mean, now Jake Wallman is 26 years old. He's been on the team. He's a defenseman. Maybe he'll fill that kind of seventh defenseman role for now because we, just got rid of Stetcher. Now Letty's gone too. They picked up Eo Levy. Now they have Wallman too. Just a body for the back end. This year, Sundqvist isn't really having a great year. He's only got 4 goals in 41 games, 15 points. But again, another thing where he has maybe a little more of an opportunity to crack the top 9 in Detroit. So that year that they won the cup there, if you go down, he actually had like 14 goals.
Yeah. 31 points.
So you're not going to get anything insane from Sundqvist, but I do like that pickup as kind of a throw-in. And then even like his contract situation, I have no idea what he would be looking at there if he's expiring or if he's
let me look that up for you too.
Yeah, he's like my stats guy. He's my internet dude. What do we got here?
And while we're waiting,
2.7 cap hit. And he signed for another year after this year. So they got him under contract next year as well. So we maybe have to get Lou on the horn to talk a little bit of Habs. We'll see if we can get him. I don't know. The guy's so busy, man. But yeah, Nick Leddy's gone. Got the second round pick back. Love the trade. For the Red Wings, I don't really foresee anything else going on, barring some type of Anthony Mantha type trade, which I honestly, I don't see it happening. But
not with Detroit. No, it's well, you never know with Eisman, right? Like we didn't expect that.
I'm just trying to figure out where
the return on the Cogliano deal is a 5th round pick in 2024.
Okay, that's a depth piece for Colorado. That's a nice price.
Another
good win for Colorado. I think
another bottom 6.
They're going for it, and this is the year to go for it because you're gonna have to start paying guys. But I'm trying to figure out where Leddy fits in with St. Louis, because like their expected goals against is really, really bad. Nick Leddy this year has not been that good. He only had 1 goal, 15 assists, and like I thought he'd be a lot better than he was. I don't know if he plays some sheltered minutes with St. Louis, maybe it would help, but I don't see anywhere that he would actually help this team right now other than being a warm body because their defense looks pretty damn good. Scandella, Parayko, Krug, Falk, maybe with this Mikola guy, he's young, right? So you probably put him in there with Bortuzzo.
In that 5-6 role. And
he's going to be on the 3rd pair, which, you know what? If they're giving up a 2nd round pick and a roster player, if you go up, let's see where Sundqvist was playing here. Up to the top. So he's on the 3rd line, right? So they gave up a 3rd line guy. Oh, Jake Wallman is up on forward. Why did it say defense?
Who knows?
I looked him up and it said that he's a defenseman, so something's wrong.
Yeah, that's what it said.
Did it say it on there? Yeah, it says on TSN he's a defenseman, but on that site it says he's a forward. So I don't know. We also said Johan Larsson.
Yeah, Johan Larsson for a 2023 3rd round pick.
Yeah,
the Coyotes.
Washington just picked up Larsson from the Coyotes for a 3rd, which is incredible that Arizona got a 3rd. So, hey, a lot of draft picks getting thrown around. So that's a big update on a lot of things that have happened lately.
Probably going to a lot more in the next, like I said,
we'll probably be pretty busy, I think.
And, Vancouver made a claim on waivers. They brought back 37-year-old Brad Richardson.
That'll help. Maybe that's kind of something where you go, maybe they're filling a need, maybe move somebody.
Fill a roster spot so we can make a trade. I'm trying to just go through here quickly on the Twitter to make sure there's nothing else.
But hey, there's going to be more trades. We still have about 38 minutes. Well, I mean, it's probably going to be an hour and a little bit just because trades come in after 3:00. But technically, we're 38 minutes to the trade deadline. So we'll see what happens. Okay, Brian, tell us about the Vancouver Canucks trade.
Vancouver, a team I thought was going to be very active, didn't really do shit, but we traded Tyler Mott, going to the Rangers for a 2023 4th round pick. There's people I saw on Twitter saying, you can get a 3rd for him, but
what's the one if you're waiting for one of your players to get traded for a 4th and it doesn't happen? Go out and touch grass.
Yeah, go out and touch grass.
That's literally what we're doing right now.
But no, 4th round pick, so that'll help. Like Mott, play that bottom line there, bottom 2 lines. And
hey, I got something that's exactly the same as yours. One of my team, the Red Wings, I thought they were done. They moved Vlad Nemesnikov to Dallas for a 4th round pick as well.
Hey.
It's the exact same thing, but also Nemesnikov's having a good season. I did think he would get a little bit more, but the forward market has been pretty bad this year. So I'm not really I'm not really too concerned about that when people are saying, "Oh, he'll come back in the offseason." I don't really see that happening. I see Sundqvist actually replacing Nemesnikov. Hopefully, he's about the same replacement type player.
Hopefully, Nemesnikov, we got him at 14 on our list, and then
another
22.
Another big trade is we had Rickard Rakell at number 8. He just got traded to Pittsburgh. We're still waiting on like the exact return. But it's Dominic Simone, Zach Aston Reese, a second-round pick in 22, and then a prospect. So, again, that's another thing with the forward market has been very, very soft. The defense market has been insane. But depending on who the prospect is, and like we're not an expert on prospects, if it moves the needle, we'll let you know. But as of now, I think Pittsburgh did well bringing in Rakell. He's a top 6 guy. He's not scoring as much as I think he probably should, with Anaheim. So maybe just a change of scenery. You always talk about change of scenery, but
put him on a line there with Malkin, and points are gonna.
They should.
Theoretically, they should.
So I think the Penguins, they picked up Boileau and now Rakell. So I think they're probably done. But that's a good pickup as well. Like
Anaheim's had a good trade deadline.
Yeah, and there's 2 trades we are waiting on right now. One is Andrew Kopp going to the Rangers, apparently for picks, but it's been about an hour since we heard about it.
And the only other, that was the Kopp one, and then Max Domi going to the Hurricanes in exchange for, again, heard picks. Other people involved.
There's a third, like Florida is apparently involved in that too, but we haven't heard anything. The only other 2 trades, the only other 2 trades that are kind of very minor is Ryan Carpenter to the Flames for a 5th-round pick from Chicago, and then Derek Brassard going to the Oilers for a 4th-round pick from the
Flyers are trading 50% of Brassard's salary.
Big deal there. So those are the trades that have been happening. Jarmo Kekalainen of the Blue Jackets has said that there's 33 trades in the queue, which I think he's joking. He has to be, because we haven't heard about one in a while now. So we're waiting on details on some that have been confirmed. But there are a few where I'm hearing about, like, Evgeny Dadonov with Golden Knights, and there's a few that there's some rumors. But
you check the rumors. Like if we just pull out the old phone, take a look, ski, and
I asked Kekalainen to clarify if he said 33 pending on the Central Register. He said yes, if I heard correctly. Wow. That's pretty crazy. Red Wings haven't said they're done yet, so that's kind of cool. I wonder what's happening.
Oh, Calgary trades Michael McNiven to Ottawa for future considerations.
Woo! There we go. The Kulak trade call is still in progress.
How? Is Kenny Holland using a fucking tin cup? Fucking idiot.
That's insane. We're going to wait around. I don't know how long Brian Mantle will wait around, but if anything happens, maybe we'll have to hop on a call tonight together and wrap up all the other trades. So it turns out Bobo was too rockstar to end the show with me. He had some stuff going on. I mean, we were waiting for a long, long time, an incredibly long time, to hear just trades that we were already talking about with Andrew Kopp and Max Domi. And it took forever. There was something going on in the trade queue. We finally, I think, figured out what it was. And there's a lot of teams behind this trade. But we'll talk about the ones that did happen, and then I'll talk about the one that did but didn't happen. There's some weird stuff going on. We were talking about Andrew Kopp for the longest time. So it turns out that he went to the Rangers, like we said, with a 6th-round pick. The Jets got back Morgan Barron, a 2nd-round pick in 2022, a 5th-round pick in 23, and a 2nd-round pick in 23. So quite the haul for the Jets for Andrew Kopp. I really like Andrew Kopp as a player. The Rangers have the space. They have the capital to get him. So it makes sense. They can throw him on the second line center if they want. They can play him on the top 9. Either way, another guy that's very versatile. He can move up and down the lineup. Another one that happened kind of more after the deadline, very minor, Victor Rask going to Seattle for future considerations from Minnesota. There's a couple minor league deals that we don't really need to talk about those. Other than that, the Max Domi trade, it was Max Domi and Tyler Inamoto. So I'm assuming he's a prospect from Columbus for Aiden Hreshek. And we were talking about him too. He's more of a prospect. And if Florida was in, they acquired forward Igor Korshkov from Carolina, a 2022 6th-round pick from Columbus, and they retained 25% of Domi's total contract. So Florida got involved and got an extra pick there. So good for Florida. Carolina picking up Max Domi we were talking about how Carolina didn't really do anything all day. They finally did. And he was higher up on our list. We had, well, actually, no, not on ours. On TSN, he was like number 2. On ours, he was more 24 because we didn't think, he was going to move, which we were almost right. But he ended up moving. That was Columbus's only trade of the day. The final trade for Rickard Rakell going to Pittsburgh was Rakell to Pittsburgh. Anaheim picked up a 2022 second, Zach Aston-Reese, Dominic Simone, and then the prospect was Calle Klang, who is a good goaltender prospect from Pittsburgh. I guess the Penguins do have a few decent goalie prospects, and they threw him in the deal, so that's good for Anaheim to refill the shelf on that one. And those were basically the trades that happened after the 3 p.m. deadline, but we were hanging out until around 5 o'clock. We were refreshing Twitter. I was refreshing Twitter at home until about 7:30. There was a trade that happened that really actually, well, Riley Nash went to Tampa Bay. That's another one too, but big deal. Okay. It involves the Ducks and the Golden Knights. So the potential trade was supposed to be Evgeny Dadonov and a 2023 second round pick going to Anaheim. Vegas was picking up John Moore and Ryan Kessler's contract. Kessler's been done for a while now, so it's more of a cap hit thing. Dadonov's contract is pretty high. His cap hit is really high. He came from Ottawa, okay? Now, the problem here is apparently Dadonov has a no movement clause, a 10-team list that I guess what's happening is Vegas didn't know, which is weird because it's public knowledge. You can see it on Cap Friendly that he has a partial no movement clause. So I'm wondering where the screw up was here, because there's some paperwork that wasn't filed. It might have been Ottawa's fault because they're the ones that signed him to the contract. So this is now going to the league, and there's going to be an arbitrator. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on, and just for like a cap dump. So Vegas looks really bad with this. How did they not know he had a 10-team list? Because I guess Dadonov is going, well, wait a minute, I have a list of teams that I can say I don't want to go to, which maybe Anaheim's one of them for some reason. Maybe they're not. I mean, it's an interesting thing. In trying to describe this to a non-hockey fan, think about how dumb this sounds. Anaheim traded for a player that has a no trade clause, but they didn't know about it, and neither did the team that traded him. But he got traded for a guy that retired 3 years ago. Like, people be like, wait, what is going on? Why are they doing this? That's one thing with the trade deadline in the NHL. It's just some stuff that maybe might make sense to a hockey fan. To the general public, they'd go, what is that? Why would they do that? So this is going to be an interesting thing to see how this Dadonov thing goes down. He's a pretty good player. So it's not like the Ducks are just taking him for the cap hit, which they probably are. But because Kessler can go on LTIR, so they're helping out Vegas with their cap situation. Obviously, Vegas wants this trade to go through because, you have Stone on IR. You have a lot of, like Martinez, I think, is still on IR, that have a lot of cap hit. And to fit them in, you can Kucherov them into the playoffs, which I'm pretty sure the NHL's got to look at that rule now, because there's going to be a few teams that are going to do that. And they're going to have to figure out what is going on with this Dadonov thing. They might have to get like lawyers involved. It's very the suit and ties are going to have to look at this one. So that was the trade deadline. We were going to do basically like who won the trade deadline, who lost the trade deadline. I don't know if that's anything that really matters that much, because most teams are just trying to improve. The sellers are trying to get picks. So, looking at a team like Colorado, they made a ton of moves and they were already a really good team. And you have to look and go, did they get better? I think they did. The Anaheim Ducks picked up like 7 draft picks. Seattle picked up like 10. They're retooling, right? Florida picking up Giroux. Was that the home run swing for the Panthers? Yeah, I think it was. Did they get exactly what they needed with Sherratt and Hag to basically replace Ekblad? Hopefully he can come back. I don't know if that's really an upgrade on Ekblad. It's not, but there's bodies to play now. If Ekblad is back for the playoffs, that's a pretty good looking Florida squad. So it was a fun day. It was actually not as boring as it usually is, because throughout the day, trades were trickling in. We had about an hour and a half where nothing really happened. And we had to watch TSN do its shtick, which, what are they going to do, right? You can't blame them. But as a Red Wings fan,
I'll just break that down. Leddy, Nemesnikov, those were the only two guys that I think could have moved. So they got what they got for them. I think they got more than they should have got for Leddy. I think they got a little bit less than Nemesnikov, but 3rd round pick, 4th round pick, whatever. Obviously, I look at that and go, he wasn't in the plans. And I was always wondering that. Is Nemesnikov a guy that they would bring back? For Wings fans, they're saying, oh, he'll come back in the offseason. Like, we say that about everybody. That's not going to happen. Like, if that happened, every single rental that gets traded would go back to the team that they just got traded from. And it rarely happens. I actually would like to see the stats on that because I feel like it's very, very low. Now, the whole thing with Tyler Bertuzzi, Yzerman came out and said his plan is to sign Larkin and Bertuzzi to extension. So he sees them as the guys, right? So now you're looking at a core, and whenever he talks about his core, he talks about Larkin, Bertuzzi. Well, before, I mean, now it's Raymond and Seider, and he usually says Filip Hronek too. But that was another guy where I looked at and went, if you can get worth for him because he's a defenseman and he has term left, then do it. But I think the deadline kind of went how I thought it would go. I think Bobo would say the same. Not a lot of surprises. Marc-Andre Fleury going to Minnesota was interesting. A lot of it made sense. There wasn't really a lot of trades where I went, what is going on here? Ottawa, I don't know what Ottawa is doing. I've heard some stuff about Travis Hamonic. I've never seen a player get so trashed in the media following a trade where they're just saying like, this guy's not like a great locker room guy. I'm going, oh my God. Some players are saying what a breath of fresh air it is to not have him in Vancouver. I mean, that doesn't sound good at all. Don't really know what's going on with that, but we'll take a peek at it. Now, we're going to try and do this again next year, right? And hopefully we're still going. We're still having fun with it. Deadline is always the most fun day of the year, even though it's like waking up on Christmas morning and getting socks. As a kid, you're like, man, I look forward to this and nothing really happened. I didn't really get what I wanted. But then you realize the older you get, that pair of socks, it's not so bad. So until next time, healthyscratch.ca, Buschy and Bobo Show. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify, anywhere you can get podcasts. Check out the website, healthyscratch.ca. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Until next time, have a good one.